This happened when I was 18. I'm 22 now and living in Portland, Oregon. It was my final year in high school, right when COVID started making waves, causing everything to shut down, and including my school. Even though everyone was supposed to be isolating at home, my friends and I found ourselves going out even more than before. With most businesses closed, options were limited. But one thing about me, I've always loved urban exploring, especially haunted spots. I still do it to this day. I'm not someone who gets scared easily. I've had run-ins with the homeless, strange cult-like groups, and even had a gun pulled on me once. But none of that compares to the strange, unnerving thing that happened on this one particular night. Around that time, I had just started talking to a girl from school named Clarissa. If she hadn't been there to confirm what happened that night, I doubt any of my friends would have believed me. We were still new to dating, but I managed to talk her into exploring a wooded nature park at 3 a.m. in Portland. The park is called Forest Hills Nature Reserve. By day, it's peaceful and scenic, but at night, it's a different story. Police usually block the entrances at night to keep people out. It's even the site of some tragic incidents. In 2016, a 24-year-old woman was stabbed to death there, and in 2021, a boy exploring was shot. Clarissa and I arrived at the park around 3 a.m. It was pitch black and incredibly eerie. The trees blocked out most of the moonlight. I prefer not to use flashlights when exploring. It ruins night vision and makes you visible from far away. So we kept ours off and just walked the main trail. We were about 15 to 20 minutes in. I knew a smaller trail that looped around and led back to where my truck was parked, so I suggested we take it to save time. Clarissa agreed, and we turned onto the off-road path. Just a couple minutes into that trail, we suddenly heard a flute playing out of nowhere. We both froze. Whoever was playing it, the sound had rhythm, like a real song. But there was no time to appreciate it. It was deeply unsettling. As I said, I'm not easily scared, but after about 15 seconds, Clarissa started shaking. She looked ready to cry. Then she began praying, asking God for forgiveness. That's when I knew things were serious. The sound was hard to locate. It seemed to come from the direction of the main trail, separated from us by 30 to 50 yards of woods. But it kept getting louder, closer, like it was right above us. Clarissa couldn't focus. She was paralyzed with fear. I knew I had to step up. I told her I wouldn't let anything happen to her and suggested we run down the off-road path to get away. So we ran. I think the flute stopped, but I was too focused on escaping to be sure. About 30 feet ahead, we suddenly heard leaves crunching. Then something large darted across the trail in front of us. Maybe it was a deer or some other big animal, but it felt different. I couldn't see what it was, no shape or outline. Just the sound and the force of something huge moving past. Strangely, I didn't hear it coming or going, just that single moment when it crossed in front of us. Naturally, we turned around and sprinted back the way we came. And as we reached the spot where we first heard the flute, it started again. But this time, it was louder, right above us. The sound had changed, almost like a chime or an Irish jig. It still had rhythm, but the source was impossible to pinpoint. The sound felt like it surrounded us. I hit full panic mode. We had two options. Go back down the off-road trail where something had just crossed in front of us, or go back to the main path where the flute player probably was. The off-road trail was darker and more isolated. The main trail was at least paved. I told Clarissa, who was still terrified, to run back down the main trail with me toward the truck. We ran. Fueled by adrenaline, we cut a 20-minute walk down to 7 or 8 minutes. Somewhere along the way, the flute finally stopped. As we passed a random porta potty, I had a moment of fear. What if someone was hiding inside? It was near the area we'd just run from. But thankfully, no one was there. In fact, mine was the only vehicle near the entrance. We made it to the truck, and I floored it out of there. The next day, I told my friends what had happened. I searched online to see if anyone else had experienced something like that. There were stories of ghosts, cults, strange animal noises, but nothing about a soft, haunting flute melody. I couldn't find a single post or mention. Maybe I didn't search hard enough. I considered all possibilities. There are houses a couple miles out on the edge of the woods, but we were deep in. The sound couldn't have carried that far. It was way too clear, especially at 3 a.m. in the middle of nowhere. I never did find out who was playing that flute or what ran across our path. Writing this still gives me chills. The more I tea,